The palace of Velcora was silent as darkness fell across its crystal. Towers, the guards had sealed every gate, and the healers knelt around their queen helpless and afraid. For 3 days she had lain upon her silver bed, her skin pale, her veins dark, and her breath shallow. No medicine, no machine, and no divine prayer could slow the poison spreading through her body. The empire that ruled 1,000 worlds now waited in fear, because its queen was dying. Far below in the lower halls where light seldom reached, a human worked alone. His name was Adam Kepler, once a soldier in the war between Earth and Velcora, and now reduced to a janitor. He cleaned corridors the aliens would not walk. He mended broken lamps and scrubbed away blood after royal punishments. He had no voice, no power, only quiet endurance. The Velcrans barely saw him, and he preferred it that way. But that night silence broke. Adam was sweeping near the upper chambers when the alarms fell quiet and the healer's screams turned to whispers. The queen was slipping away faster now. The guards shouted orders, their voices shaking. As they prepared for the worst, Adam felt a strange pull. Curiosity or pity, he could not tell. He moved, closer, drawn by the weight of despair that hung in the air. The great chamber doors were open just enough for him to see inside. The queen lay still, her silver tendrils limp around her face. Her jewels lay scattered, her crown cast aside. The healers worked in chaos, bright instruments flashing uselessly. They spoke of failure and exile and shame. Adam should have walked away, but something inside him refused. He stepped through the doorway before the guards noticed. A guard turned, saw him, and raised a weapon. The human froze, hands lifted in fear, but before the shot came, the queen made a sound soft as wind. The room went still, her eyes half open, found him, and for a heartbeat she seemed to truly see him. She spoke a single word in her language, and the guards lowered their guns. Adam did not know what she had said, only that she wished him closer. He took a step and another until he stood beside her. The queen trembled, her breath shallow. Her hand twitched as if searching for something. Without thinking, Adam reached out to steady her. His hand brushed her skin for just an instant. Light exploded through the room. The air burned cold, and the poison retreated from her veins. The healers gasped as her color returned. The queen opened her eyes, now bright and alive, staring at the human who had somehow saved her life. They took Adam away at once. The guards surrounded him with weapons and suspicion. The healers argued in panic, their voices sharp and frightened. They scanned the queen again and again, unable to explain how the poison had vanished. Her body now glowed faintly, her breathing steady, her heart strong. They spoke of miracles and impossibility, and the human who had touched her, the royal attendants, demanded his execution, believing he carried some forbidden weapon. But the queen awoke before they could decide. She opened her eyes and raised her hand. The chamber fell silent. Her voice, though weak, carried power. She ordered that the human be brought before her unharmed. The guards obeyed without question. They led Adam through shining halls into the royal chamber. The queen sat upright, her silver skin restored. Her eyes glowing softly, she studied him with a strange calm, neither anger nor fear, only curiosity. The healers began explaining what had happened. The poison was made by their own science, a weapon created during the war. It was meant to destroy humans slowly, yet even their kind could not survive it. Once it entered her blood, there was no cure, and yet one touch from a human had erased it. The queen dismissed the healers, leaving only herself and Adam in the chamber. She rose slowly, her movements graceful though still weak. She approached him until only a breath separated them. Her gaze was piercing, as if she searched his soul. She spoke, and the translator device on his collar turned her words into human speech. She said, "Human, your kind was made for war, and yet your touch has healed what no empire could you carry. Something my people do not." Adam shook his head. He told her he had done nothing. He was only a cleaner. She looked at him for a long time and then said, "Perhaps that is why the universe chose you, not for what you are, but for what you are not." She asked him what humanity felt when facing death. He answered simply, "We hold each other." She looked away, thoughtful. Days passed, and her strength returned. The empire rejoiced, calling it divine salvation. But whispers spread that the queen had been changed, that the poison was gone, yet something human had entered her mind. She began to ask questions about Earth and its people, about kindness and hope, things alien rulers never cared for. And every time she spoke to Adam, her voice softened, as if she felt something she did not understand. The healers still feared him, but the queen ordered that he stay within the palace. Under her protection, the human who healed the queen became a mystery to the empire, a symbol of something they could not explain. Some called him blessed, others cursed, but deep inside, the queen felt a quiet truth. The touch that saved her life had also touched her heart. Weeks turned into months, and the palace of Velcora no longer whispered of war but of wonder. The queen who once ruled with cold logic now walked the gardens in silence. Beside a human janitor, the courtiers watched in disbelief as she spoke, with him not as ruler to servant, but as equal. Sometimes they saw her smile, a sight that had not been witnessed in generations. The queen had changed. Her thoughts reached beyond the stars toward ideas her people had long forgotten: mercy, compassion, hope. She ordered the rebuilding of the war, orphans' colonies, and the release of human prisoners. Her council raged against it, calling her weak. Some even plotted to remove her. But she did not waver, because she knew her strength no longer came from power, but from the strange, fragile being who had once swept her floors. Adam tried to remain humble. He cleaned the halls as before, but now the guards bowed as he passed. The queen often asked him about Earth and its simple things: rain and laughter, and music. He told her of children running through fields of green, of humans who built fires not for war but for warmth. The queen listened, as if hearing the universe breathe for the first time. Then came the night of rebellion. The generals rose against her, believing the queen had been infected by human weakness. Armies gathered outside the palace, ready to strike. The council demanded that she surrender and hand the human over, but she refused. She stood before them unarmed. Her voice clear and steady, she said, "If humanity carries such weakness, then let it be my strength." When the first soldiers breached the gates, Adam stepped forward, not as a servant, but as a soldier. Once more, he shielded the queen as energy bolts filled the air. The attackers hesitated for a single moment when they saw the human standing there. That moment was enough for loyal forces to regain control. The rebellion fell and peace returned. But the queen had seen enough of hatred. After that night, she made a declaration before the entire empire. She said, "The war between our worlds ends today. The poison that once divided us has been healed by a human touch from this day forth. We will walk together, not as enemies, but as life." Bound by fate, the hall thundered with disbelief, yet no one dared defy her. Years later, songs would tell of the human janitor who saved a queen and changed an empire. They would say his touch carried more power than all the armies of the stars. The queen herself would call him not servant, not savior, but friend.